So somebody requested that I do a Royal Coachman on that last video that I commented saying I was going to take a break from tying because I've run out of room in my fly box, and I tied close to 100 in the past week, and I didn't see a Royal Coachman in my fly box. And I looked up a Royal Coachman to see what it looked like because I wasn't familiar with it, and I thought that was pretty cool, so I think I'm going to try to tie one. And I've never tried to tie one before, but I want to see how it turns out. But I've got all my materials that I need, white feather, and apparently they're tied in several different ways. And one of them looks like a parachute Adams, but I'm not going to tie it like that. I'm going to tie it more like a bug with an insect with wings, not with the poly yarn sticking out of the top like the parachute Adams has. So I'm going to try it that way. But I'm going to go ahead and snip off my wing portion of the feather for the Royal. Now I'm going to be doing this on a size 10 hook with red thread because the Royal Coachman has that signature red band around the center of the thorax, the body of the insect, so the body of the fly. And it is a dry fly, so it doesn't have any weight to it or anything like that. There's no weighted lead or anything of that nature on it. But I am using the red thread. And because I'm not doing it like the parachute Adams, I don't need poly yarn. But it does have a tail. And that is normally golden pheasant tails. So I'm going to take some of that, which is the pheasant tail, and snip off some of the strands of feather and use that as the tail for the Royal Coachman. This is where I go ahead and tie it in. At this point on the back of the hook. And the body of it is made out of peacock herl or green chenille or whatever if you're doing your own variation of it, but I'm going to go ahead and do it with peacock herl like I whenever I looked it up and I saw it, that's what it has, it's peacock herl. So I'm going to go ahead and start my peacock herl strand here. In the back. I'm going to use 2 peacock herls because there is a band in the middle and I don't want to run out of peacock herl halfway through the tie and kind of be stuck and have to thicken up the body of my fly for no reason. You don't want a lot of excess materials if you don't have to have it, you know. And I'm going to go ahead and move my thread up here to where my band will be, the signature band of the Royal Coachman. And I haven't watched a tutorial on this or anything like this. I'm just doing it the way I think the way I want to do it, and the way I think it would be done, or the way I know to do it, if that makes sense. So I'm going to secure that in place right there, about a third of the way up the hook. This is the way I'm doing it. And then I'm going to go ahead and start my other piece of peacock herl where I ended the other. I'm going to give it several wraps and get it nice and secure and thicken up the body of it a little bit, and go all the way up and thicken up the front of it a little bit, not all the way to the hook eye because I've got to tie some hackle up there and things of that nature, and then come back and go ahead and get up here so I can secure it where I need to. Go ahead and wrap this peacock herl once in the middle where I'm planning on putting my red band, and that's where I'm going to secure my peacock herl so I can do my red band. And I'm not going to snip off that because I need that for another section of the peacock herl. And right now what I'm doing is just wrapping around the peacock herl I just wrapped repeatedly and making a red band in the center of the body of the fly. Well, and it snapped off, so I'll just have to tie it back in. But the peacock herl being in the center of the fly strictly is for the purpose to thicken up the body a little bit, so it's not just a real thin red band. I want it to have some meat to it, like it looks like it's part of the body of the fly, if that makes sense. And now that I've got my red band tied, I'm going to take my peacock curl that just broke, and I'm going to tie it back in. Right there where I ended the red band. And give it a few wraps to create the front of the body of the fly. Okay. And I'm taking this up to the front. Oh my God. This peacock girl is really giving me a run for my money today. Gotta tie it back in one more time. I'm gonna stop right there where I want to end the peacock girl. I'm gonna be really gentle with it. And I'm gonna wrap it one around until I get it to where my thread is. And I don't want to crowd the eye of the hook, so I'm not taking it all the way up to the eye of the hook. I'm going to stop it here in just a second. One more wrap, then wrap it back to thicken it up a little bit, and then back up to the front. And then I'm going to secure the peacock curl right there. And that's giving me a decent little body for my Royal Coachman. Do I want to do the feathers next for the wings of the Royal Coachman, or do I want to do the hackle up front for the kind of the hackle of the Royal Coachman? I'm going to go ahead and spread it out because I am going to spin it around and give it that kind of look. I think I need to go ahead and tie in my hackle at least. And then I'm going to get my wings formed and go ahead and tie them in, I believe. I'm going to give it a tie right there to kind of press the wings up a little bit. And then I'm going to tie in this side. And I'm going to try to match about the length that's coming off the fly on both sides. That way it looks uniform. And then give it a good wrap there. And once up and behind it. Okay. Now that I've got my wings on there, I'm going to go ahead and twist my hackle around. I don't want to crowd the eye on my hook. Like I said, that is one of the most important things. It doesn't matter how beautiful a fly is if you can't get to the eye to fish it or to tie it to the fishing line. So that kind of defeats the purpose of the fly, you know. Snip all the excess of that. I don't want to pull that down and back. Let me pull it down back a little bit. And I can also secure that with a piece of, or a bit of my UV resin too. Right now I'm just snipping off the excess that I can before I wrap it to get in to cover it up. Alright, so I got that pushed down. I'm going to make slightly like a little head right here and to hold down that hackle toward the bottom of the fly to make it even more buoyant, like legs up front. And the reason I'm going to do the UV resin on this is, like I said, to toughen up the fly, to make it last longer and to give it a better quality, but also to hold these hackles down to make the hackles stay on the bottom of the fly to look like insect legs, which I think is kind of cool. Plus my resin's new. It's a new toy that I got, so I've been using it quite a bit, playing with it, you know, trying to get used to it. And so I got my UV light ready. So I'm gonna start with some of the soft, which is the medium kind of UV resin. I've got thin, soft, and then thick. I don't know why it's called thin, soft, and thick, I don't know why it's not called something else, but I'm going to put a little dab right here on top at the hackle, and the red thread that I've used for the head. I probably should have went ahead and did the whip finishes, but I'll go ahead and do those now before I do the thick resin. And it doesn't take that UV light long to secure up and do what it's supposed to do. 1, 2, 3, 4 for the fourth. Up, down, and out. Let me go ahead and do the thick to build up a little better wing casing and the head. Light on. And it doesn't take this light long to do its job. 10 to 15 seconds each time you apply it, and it should thicken it up and harden it up and set the resin for you. I didn't do the wraps to cover up this white up here, because if you've watched any of my other videos, I don't mind if it has some stuff up front closer to the eye, as long as it doesn't impede the eye, because to me it makes it more like a natural insect with antennas and, you know, kind of hairs up front. And I'm hoping it does to the fish as well, you know. But that's my thought process behind it. And I will trim off some of that, though. It did turn out very good for not every time a Royal Coachman. And the resin should be set. I'm going to pull my wings up here. That is a Royal Coachman. Put it in the clouds. And there is the first Royal Coachman and only Royal Coachman I have tied so far. But it's got the signature red band, brown saddle hackle up front, peacock herl, golden pheasant tail, white feather for the wings, and thick and soft UV resin for the head and wing casing, and then brown hackle for the legs. But you can see the signature red band there of the Royal Coachman. So